Hey guys, it's Julia and welcome back to my channel, and for today's video I'm going to be doing my Stephen King collection. So if you don't know who Stephen King is, he's an adult horror thriller. He writes a little bit of fantasy and he just writes a wide range of stuff, but he's mostly known for his horror adult novels. And he's written over 50 books and he's pretty damn well known. Like, if you haven't heard his name before, I'd be very surprised. But I have
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17
of his books on my shelf. Some are repeats though, because I do own a couple double copies, but I thought I'd go through them with you guys. I do read a fair amount of his works, and I'd love to read more, so it's great for me and for you guys, and we could talk in the comments. You know how it goes. Let's get into it. We'll start with mass markets because I have like 5 of them. I have Carrie first off, and this is his debut, so you know, some people ask me where to start. Some people like to start in publication orders, so like you start with Carrie, but like it's not his best work out there, but it is like his starting point. Plus when I read it, I did really enjoy it. It's just if I read it now, I probably wouldn't as love it as much. But yeah, I had this one for a while. There's 2 cracks in the spine. I read this one. This was my first King. I read it a couple years ago. No, maybe 3, no, 4, a while ago, like 4-ish years ago. Oh my god, when I was 10. Yeah, so that's Carrie for you. Now we have my favorite King that I've read from the books I've read so far, The Shining, of course. And this is a copy I read. It's a little bit beaten up, but this is like his, I think, one of his most well-known works. Like Carrie is obviously very well-known. Like they've had like 2 or 3 adaptations of that, but like this has had one adaptation. I haven't even seen it. I don't really want to see it because I've heard bad things. And one of the lines in the movie wasn't in the book. Whatever, we're not talking about the movies. But I really love The Shining. It's like about Jack, Wendy, and Danny Torrance, all who have to stay in the Overlook Hotel over the winter, and they're going to be the only ones there. And Jack has to watch the boiler room, so you know the hotel doesn't, you know. And it's about their family there and all the things that go down in the hotel. So next we have Cujo, and I read this one a long time ago too. I actually don't think I ever finished it though. Maybe 3-4 years ago I read 3/4 of it, but I was hating reading it, not because it was bad, but at the time I don't think I could follow it very well. Like I knew the plot, but the characters just all got confused. But the font is so tiny and it's really hard to read. So if you're gonna get a copy of Cujo, don't get this one. I mean, I love this cover though. And so yeah, this has like 3 cracks, and oh my god, I have a bookmark in it. Well, I have a cue card because that's who I am. 266. So yeah, I never ended up finishing Cujo, but you know, I've had a fear of dogs my whole entire life. I'm a lot better now, but you know, Cujo didn't really help me much, but I liked reading it. It was really interesting. So yeah. Here I have Salem's Lot by Stephen King, and this is his vampire-ish novel, and it's about the Marston house, which is this really creepy old house, and we follow Ben Mears. I always said Myers, but I don't think it's Myers, who goes to this town, goes back to the town. It's a very small town, Jerusalem's Lot, and you know, things go down. In my opinion, this isn't his best work. If you have it, I'd recommend, of course, reading it. I did do a book report for this for school, so I was, you know, I was doing a lot with it. I wrote like a huge paper thing on it. Did I? Yes, I did. So definitely, you know, I made a ton of notes. I had to make a ton of notes for my class, and I like to do a Stephen King book for my book projects, like book reports, or like, you know, those kind of projects where you have to pick your own book. Like in 8th grade, I did The Shining, and in 9th grade, I did Salem's Lot. So in grade 10, probably do another Stephen King, hopefully. And so yeah, Salem's Lot was really interesting. It didn't need to be this long though. It was pretty slow, but I still liked it. Except here we have one that I haven't even touched. It's like brand new, sort of ish. The Stand. I hauled this a couple months ago, and you guys were talking to me about it. His books are big, like obviously, but like this one is really big. Like the mass market is 1,400 pages. So it's a big one. I do want to read it though. I do. A lot. If maybe I'll do this for my book report Next time I have English class in grade 10, but maybe I'll want to read it sooner, and I want to do a buddy read of it with my friend actually, because that's the reason why I bought it, because she was intimidated to read it. Hey Lena, if you're watching. So I wanted to get it and read it with her, so I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. I've heard amazing things. So up here we have 11/22/63 by Stephen King, of course. This is like, I believe, about someone who goes back in time to stop the John F. Kennedy assassination, and I obviously haven't read this one. Not obviously, but like, you know, I haven't read this one yet. It is, again, another big one, and there was a mini series made into this recently, but I think it sounds really interesting, and I feel like we could learn a lot about the assassination as well, and I just don't know exactly what to expect, because I know with Stephen King, it's not just going to be trying to stop this thing going on. Like, there's probably going to be other things going on, of course, but I've heard good things. I do want to read it soon. It is massive, so I might buy the mass market so I can read it on the go, but I'm really excited for this one. Up here I have Dr. Sleep, which is the sequel to The Shining that was released like, what, 15 years later? Something ridiculous. Basically, this follows someone from The Shining many years later and their shenanigans. That's so vague. I don't want to say too much because it's so easy to spoil for The Shining, but Dr. Sleep, I think I gave an okay rating. I didn't love it though. I liked our main character, of course, but it was just kind of odd, and he acted so much like someone else. Okay, I'm done. I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll put this down. That I own, that I have read, so that's good. But next I have another copy of The Shining, of course, because it's my favorite. So I do have another copy. It's the regular paperback copy. Next I have Joyland by Stephen King. This is more of like a carnival type story. It's not as complex as his other works. It was kind of simplistic, and it was a little bland, and yeah, but there was definitely some things I liked about it. Like, I liked certain characters and things, but it's not his best work. I think I gave it like a 3 stars when I read it, but it's still interesting. If you like those carnival type of reads, you should read this. Next up here I have The Gunslinger, and this is the first book in the Dark Tower series, which I don't own the rest of the series yet, but I do want to collect them in these editions. I have been like releasing Stephen King's books in different covers, so I have the first one, and I have read this one. It was incredibly vague. It was interesting though, and it got me into like kind of the Western setting. So I do want to pick up the second book. It probably is going to be a lot better, and I do want to read the rest of the series just when I find them on sale. You know what I'm saying? Up here I have Mr. Mercedes by Stephen King, which is another favorite of mine from him so far, and I'll talk about this one more a bit later because I do own another copy, but yes, I have the paperback copy. Next up here I have Everything's Eventual, which is one of his 15 Dark Tale, you know, his short story bind-ups, and I was gonna read this one for Booktubeathon. I even like tabbed the whole thing really nicely, so then, you know, I could just flip to each short story. But I really want to read the 1408 short story, but like I don't just want to read one short story and give up, so like I want to do the whole thing. But the 1408 story was also based, they made a movie out of it, and I love the movie, and so I really want to read this soon. I was gonna read it again for a Booktubeathon, but it just didn't work out because, you know, things don't always work out, but I hope to read this relatively soon. Next I have Revival by Stephen King, which I just bought like last month. I heard it's really good. I heard it's disturbing. I heard it's interesting, and I really want to read it. It came out in 2014, so it's like relatively new. So yeah, I want to read this one sometime soon. So next I have his only trilogy, because I don't think he has any other trilogies that I know of. The Bill Hodges trilogy. My love. Yeah, I love these if you didn't know. So we start off with Mr. Mercedes. This is his crime mystery series, so it's not as, they're still dark and twisted, but it's not as like terrifying as some people think his books are. I personally don't find his books that scary, so like I personally don't get terrified from his books. I don't cry while I read books, and I don't get scared while I read books. Sometimes I get a little creeped out, but like not too bad. So one of his books has yet to like terrify me, but that's just me. It's not his book, so you know, they could be scary. I don't know. Some of them, I don't like chase scenes, like you know what I mean, the chase scenes. I'm like, oh my god, they're running after me. But Mr. Mercedes is I don't want to go through each plot, but I have videos on this whole trilogy basically. So we have Mr. Mercedes, which involves the crime is like a car, Mercedes crashing into a bunch of people intentionally. Finders Keepers involves killing an author and burying pages, things go on. Yeah, Finders Keepers was really good. The finale that came out in June was End of Watch, which this one deals with more of a technology element to it. It's a thing called like a Zap It, which is like a Game Boy, and it can do things. Yeah, so these are great. If you think you'll get scared by his books, just pick up these. Not that they're not weird and creepy, but they're not terrifying. They're classified as crime thrillers, so you should be okay. And the last book I have here is The Bazaar of Bad Dreams by Stephen King. And I buddy read this with a friend actually, and it's basically a bunch of short stories. And this is a pretty recent release. I think it came out in 2015, if I'm not mistaken, or like, yeah. I didn't love it. I actually didn't really like it that much. It was really mixed for me. I had a lot of mixed feelings on this book. I had some favorites, like Bad Little Kid was like my favorite, but like some of them were just so pointless in my opinion. So yeah, I do want to read more of his short story collections, but this one I didn't really like. I have a review for it if you're interested. You guys have it. That is my Stephen King collection. And of course, in no way am I trying to say I'm the master of, I know everything about him and his books, because of course I don't, but or I'm not trying to say I've read every single one of his books. I told you which ones I read, so there's actually not many that I haven't read in this humongous pile. There's like maybe a handful, but I've read most of them, so A+. You guys, let me know down below if you guys have read Stephen King, your favorite from him, your least favorite. I don't even care. If you haven't read him, I don't know, tell me why. No, I'm kidding. Of course, you don't have to have like read him, like I'm not like, but like I love his books and you should give them a shot. If you're gonna start with a shorter book, because you know his books can be intimidating. Mr. Mercedes is kind of short. It's like 400, 500 pages. That's sort of short. Or you can just do Carrie, but then again, Carrie's not his best work. It's just his shortest work, and it's his first work. Anyways, I'll talk to you guys soon with a new video. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I'll see you soon. Bye.